Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Field of 68's last call.
What's your go-to Applebee's order?
I don't go to Applebee's. We actually call it Crapplebee's, to be honest.
Who's the better team right now, Creighton, Marquette, or UConn?
Con.
What are you doing? What is that? Pray for Fanta. Oh, come on, Zach. Here we go. It's last call.
All right, welcome in. It isn't closing time, but it is last call here on Field of 68 on Stadium. I'm John Martin, joined by my guys Matt McCall, John Henson. And if you have a question about college basketball, the way the show sort of works is you ask the questions and these guys answer them. It's just that simple on anything. It could be, whatever. I mean, I think we're obligated contractually to answer any and all questions that come in. So whatever you want to know, ask, and we'll get to it here on the show. Let's get into it. It was really the only meaningful game of the night. Iowa State mollywopping Iowa in that get-back game. So, Matt, start with you. Can Iowa State make the tournament? That question comes to us from John.
Can they make the tournament? Oh, 1,000% they can make the tournament. I mean, I think what they did tonight offensively. I mean, it was an offensive clinic. I don't even think that's a question. I mean, they're going to have opportunities to get quad one wins in their league. I mean, I think they can, with what they did tonight on the offensive end of the floor, I think they can compete for a Big 12 championship. No question about it.
John, you agree?
Yeah, it's super early. It's super early, but yeah, competing or getting to the tournament, I think that's a floor kind of goal they should have. They're a good team, so getting to the tournament, I don't even think they're even as a team. I don't even think they're thinking about that like that. So yeah, for sure they'll make the tournament.
All right. Again, if you got questions, let us know in the chat, and we're gonna get to them.
Tyrese Halliburton, shout out to Tyrese.
Yeah, it was a great night for Iowa State, wasn't it? Great night for the James family, and a great night for Iowa State.
About those teams passing over him in the draft.
He's tired of losing. He's tired of losing, and so no more. And you know what? Real quick, like that's the weirdness of the NBA, right? Like, and you played in it, so you know this firsthand. Mm-hmm. Like I watched the Bucks against the Knicks the other night, and the Bucks put up 146 points on a good Knicks defense. Like they were making every freaking three they put up, and they played the worst defense in the NBA tonight in the Pacers, and they really can't do anything. Like, how do you explain that, bro?
NBA is so situational, man. It's a situational league. But at the end of the day, you want to. The records, the cream will always rise to the top in the NBA, right? So that's why it's tough. Like Milwaukee made a long travel day. They may have played 3 or 4 games and three games in 5 days. You just kind of don't really know what your body or how they're feeling as a team. And the Pacers are hungry, young, energetic. I mean, think about the Bucks, right? Like guys are making $300 million over there. The Pacers got one guy making over, or the 4 guys making over $13 million. So, boom, there's your game.
Hey, real quick, this wasn't a question in the chat, but I feel like this is as good a night as any to just talk about, your experiences in the NBA. You were a young one on the Bucks roster when Giannis got drafted. Mm-hmm. So to see, like, could you tell when he came in that, like, man, this dude has a chance to be, one of the greats, or was he just like so raw? Like, what was your first impression of Giannis when he came in?
I couldn't tell he was going to be this. Obviously, I don't think anyone could. But I do remember when he came in, he had savvy, he had balls, and there was specifically one day I remember Coach Kidd was like, "Hey, Giannis, come down with the bigs." He's like, "I'm not a big, I'm a guard." He's like, "No, go down there with the bigs." He's like, I'm a guard. I'm not going down there. And that was the kind of day I said, okay, he might be all right. And he's coming down as the guard, doing his thing. So, yeah, you saw glimpses. He works really hard, too, as well. One of the hardest workers I've ever seen. So, I'm not surprised, but didn't think he would be, like, all world,
Yeah, no, he's and he's also, like, just again, I don't know him. I saw him in the I saw him in the Chicago airport over the summer. That was kind of at Burger King. Like, so
Yeah.
I loved that. I'm like, this dude was getting, Burger King for his family on the way to who knows where. Like, he's a great human being. Like he seems like a great human being.
Man,
Yeah, he's flying commercial too. Flying commercial.
Yeah,
Why is he
Exactly.
flying
That's what I'm
commercial? Why
saying,
is he in the
dude.
Chicago airport getting Burger King?
I don't know, man. Chicago might have had him coming out the back door to the PJ, man. I don't know, man. When was this? 2020? 2019?
No, this was in the summer. This was this
Yeah.
past summer.
I love that.
I was like, wait a minute. I had to like do this whole deal. I was like, is that, oh my God, that's Giannis at Burger King? Like,
We got to talk to his financial advisor. He should not be flying commercial. We got to talk to him.
right. I think he could like, unless he just cares so much about the environment. But yeah, we definitely do. Like, come on, bro, you got to do better than that. Okay, back to some questions. If you got questions, let us know in the chat here. They added John Henson on this one. What did Henson think of UNC's loss to UConn?
I am just so proud of that team for the way they're playing, their style of play. They don't look out of place in these big time games. It's a tough spot. UConn in the Garden favorably, historically the crowd has favored UConn in the Garden. They fought tooth and nail throughout the game, made some pushes. I mean, they look legit this year in the sense of being able to compete to win the ACC, and that's all I can ask for from a team that last year didn't even get to the tournament. So I love what they're doing. We'll see what happens in the ACC, but I think they'll be right there at the top. At the end, competing for AC championship, which is what I think the goal is at North Carolina. And Hubert's got them looking good. He's got them looking good, shooting threes. They're running a little bit. The freshman point guard kind of looks like the old point guards of UNC days, throw aheads and things like that. So I'm excited, man. I'm counting my blessings because I could see how bad it could get. And so right now I'm happy with what's going on.
Matt, 30 seconds or less. How about you? What did you think of UConn's win over North Carolina? Let's invert the question.
It sounds like John Henson thinks that it was a moral victory. It was a moral victory,
100%.
and that's what Carolina's at right now.
100%.
Moral victory. I love the positivity. John Martin, that I love the positivity. So I respect John Henson's positivity. I love it. I love it. The moral victory
now,
for the Carolina.
It's a moral.
See,
I'm not playing anymore, so it's not really a moral victory. I'm happy, man. I can't complain because last year I had to hide my face. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's true. All right, when we come back, we're gonna get into Arizona. Take your questions here on Last Call on Stadium. We'll be back after this. All right, welcome back to Last Call here on Stadium, part of the Field of 68 Media Network. I'm John Martin here tonight with Matt McCall, John Henson, taking all your questions on college basketball or just, shooting the breeze, right, on a light night in college basketball. Do have a few questions, though, that we will get to, Matt. Is Arizona clearly the best team in the nation? This question comes to us from Damon Stoudemire. No, I'm kidding. AZ Baller was the asker of the question. Is Arizona the best team in the country? Clearly.
AZ baller.
Easy baller. Well, I love the Damon Stoudemire reference too. That was awesome. I think it's too early to tell. I think Arizona's. I think there's a handful of teams right now that you got to put in there. I think Arizona has to be in there. I think Houston has to be in there. I think UConn has to be in there. I think Purdue has to be in there. I mean, Baylor hasn't lost yet. I mean, they're up there, but that game against Purdue, we'll see whether or not they're the best team. And by the way, they have to play Wisconsin too. Like the fact that Arizona has to play all the teams in the Big Ten is interesting, but they are definitely up there with what they have done up to this point in the season. But we'll see. But I to say they're the clear cut, I think it's too early.
Johnny, they went in there. They went into Duke's trap and took over Duke's trap. Is that good enough for you to make them the number one team in the country?
Well, that Duke win's looking worse by the day, but
that's true.
Yeah,
still there, it's still there. It's tough to win.
Yeah, it's still there. But yeah, I think the next two games, like Coach said, Wisconsin, Purdue will show us what they're really about, and I think they can win both of those. Because if you look at the Pac-12, I mean, if they get to the Pac-12 without a loss, I mean, they could run the table, right? So these next two games are going to show us a lot because there's two teams in the Big Ten that we think are going to be at the top, if not win them. So that'll be their kind of final real test before every game they're favored by double-digit points or, favored to win home or away, for the next until March.
Yeah, like just from my perspective, it kind of does. It just feels a little early to necessarily say like there's one team that rises above the rest. I mean, I think there's like a bucket, and I think they're in that bucket. You know what I mean? But
they're
as you guys talked about,
yeah,
I think UConn is in that bucket. I mean, I really do. I mean, I feel like it's tough to do what we're sort of asking them to do, which is win back to back. But I mean, I think that team is going to grow. I really believe that, and we're going to look up in February, March, and I think they could play themselves right back in the thick of it.
They look like a well-oiled machine when they're playing. Exactly. That's what when I see them play, they look like a well-oiled machine, and they're clicking a little more than some teams that are early on in the season. So if at this rate, they'll definitely be there at the end, in some capacity, in my opinion.
And you know what, like going back to back, and I was a director of basketball operations on the last team to go back to back, right? It's a hard thing to do. And you look at that 06-07 Florida team, everyone had us as the number one team in the country to start the season off. Nobody had UConn as the number one team in the country. So I don't want to say under the radar, but kind of under the radar, right? When Villanova won it and they had a bunch of guys back, it was Villanova's going to do it again. They didn't win it that year, but they won it the following year. So it's kind of, Coach Hurley's got them playing really hard. They have really talented players. They make shots. That's a recipe to win a lot of games, and that's what they're doing.
A few more questions here. We're going to get to. Obviously, we're here until 11:30 or 12:30 if you're on the Eastern Time Zone. Answering all your questions, whether about college basketball or not. This one they added Matt McCall. Matt, what did you think of FAU's loss to Illinois? This one comes to us from Joe Kim Noah.
Joe Kim,
sorry, Florida man.
Joe Kim was watching the game.
Florida man, same thing.
I think that I think Illinois is really good, and the performance that the two guards had from Illinois. I mean, Terrence Shannon. When you look at Elijah Martin and you look at Terrence Shannon, what's the difference? And I think Elijah Martin's a really, really good player. I think size. I think Terrence Shannon, his ability to really get downhill had such an impact in that game. I don't take too much from it. I give Dusty May a lot of credit for how he's scheduled this year. I mean, he's scheduled. They're an NCAA tournament team. What they did in Orlando to come back and then win 2 games at home after losing to Bryant, I don't take too much from the game for FAU in terms of losing to Illinois, because I think Illinois is really, really good. I think Illinois is. We talked about it earlier tonight on the show. I think it's Purdue, Wisconsin, and Illinois in the Big Ten right now. I really believe that, and they have fantastic players. And FAU had their chances. You know, they're trying to find their rhythm. You know, Elijah Martin missed so much practice and so much time. He's still at times trying to find his rhythm. They're still without Nick Boyd, who's a double-digit scorer, who adds another dimension to their team when someone's in foul trouble, whatever. I mean, he's a starter. I mean, he's the guy that made the layup to beat your Memphis Tigers. You know, so I don't take too much from the loss for FAU. I think they're definitely a tournament team. I think they're the favorite to win their conference, and I think Illinois is really good.
Yeah, you know, I thought that was a low blow. Just sort of the way you kind of did that, and I picked up on it. And I just want you to know I picked up on it.
What did I do?
No, I mean you're just bringing up old shit. You know what I'm saying? We ain't talking about old shit.
Open up, close wound. I just wanted you to remember who made the layup versus Memphis. If you had forgotten.
Oh, believe me, I'll never forget. As a Memphian, that was the difference between this team this program finally breaking through to a second weekend with Fairleigh Dickinson waiting on them, okay, and going home. And what was crazy about that night is that I had to do a Field of 68 show in the seconds after that game went final. I was like, my bell was rung, bro. I was like, because when you live in Memphis and John, you know this because you were here, man. You spent the first years of your life here. You know, it's just regardless of the situation, if you're in Memphis, you feel the pain. You feel the pain of the Tigers basketball program because it's such an institution. And your boy, man, he put it on us. He put it on. Now, look, Elijah McCadden goes for the shot fake on the three-pointer. I can't explain that, but it was pain what he put on us, and we still have not recovered.
So let me ask you this: as a Memphian, favorite player to ever come out of Memphis?
Like you mean
I just like in your opinion, favorite like that played high school basketball in Memphis.
That I remember that I grew up with would be Joe Jackson.
Yeah, like you okay.
Joe was a dog. Now people don't remember that. John, I know you know.
Cult legend. He's a cult legend.
Man, Joe, bro, you could not stay in front of that dude, man. He was, and he went to Memphis, and unfortunately, it wasn't a great fit. You know, and he was top 10, and I know Josh is on the panel here. He could talk a lot about it as well, but he was top 10 in a lot of categories. But you know, he was a really an off-ball guard that Josh had to turn him into a point guard, and it was okay at times, but it wasn't who he really naturally was. And I understand why everybody had to do it, but man, he could go. So I would say him for sure. In terms of Memphis.
I like that. And then, you know, being from Memphis, it's one of those cities, man. I can't imagine the pressure, his stress he was under.
Oh my God,
being a hometown kid, probably would have been better for him to go somewhere else in hindsight.
I mean, I think that's true, and you know, and Memphis is unique in that way, right? Because you know, well, it's not as much because now with the way high school basketball is, you know, if you're good in whatever city you're in now, you're going to get poached by IMG. You're going to get poached by Sunrise. You're going to get all these different places are going to come grab you, you know, but he came up in a time where, you know, if you were to Memphis high school, buddy, you were going to Memphis. And if you didn't, you were forgotten about, right? Wrote off, period. No. And the double-edged sword of that is if you go to Memphis, okay, and you don't play really well, then you get scrutinized and you get hated. So it's like, it was almost like a lose-lose situation, man, because even if the best thing for you was to leave, if you went to Memphis and didn't, you know, average 15 and 6, you know, you kind of were you became sort of a scapegoat in a way. And that's a hard thing to handle, man. It really is. It's different now, but that's how it was. So, look, we got more questions that we're going to get to on the show tonight. Matt McCall, you are being called to the floor yet again about your panic meter shenanigans, so we'll get into that. Also, Brady has some survival questions. So we're gonna see what you guys are made of in terms of if your life depended on it. We just questions in the chat. I don't know. We'll be back after this. You're watching Last Call on Stadium on Field of 68. Back after this. All right, welcome back to Last Call here on Stadium, Field of 68. I'm John Martin. That's Matt McCall. That's John Henson. All right, Matt, this one is for you. We got a few more to get to before we get out of here for the night. Is there any team in the country? I want you to think about this long and hard, brother. Take a breath. Is there any team in the country Matt McCall would be a 5 on the panic meter for? That's from Jim.
Florida State
Speaking
football
for a nation.
not making the playoffs. Florida State football, maybe.
Oh no!
I mean, yeah, of course, there's teams that are 5 on the panic meter, right? I mean, you got teams that have, high major teams that have won one game, and you're looking and what's going on. I mean, of course, there's teams that are on that panic meter, but I think Florida State football not making the playoff, it's got to be on there. They have to be.
I would say Detroit Mercy is on the panic meter. 0-9.
I was to say I'm going to go the last team in the Ken Palm rankings, Copper State panic meter.
They even like care. I think they just assume compensate sucks every year. It's like, whatever. It's more the same.
Yeah, Copper State's trying to dig themselves out of the hole. Y'all can Google.
Is that still Juan Dixon? Is it Juan or is it somebody else?
I don't think
he's
Juan
not there anymore. No, Juan's not there.
I got you.
Great player.
Tough
Great
job.
player.
Yes. All right. Brady asks, we'll start with you, John. If your life depended on it, could you defeat a black bear?
Being as I'm an avid hunter, fisherman, outdoorsman, probably not. Bears are, what size is this bear? Like, are we talking, that's another
Let's just
factor.
Say he's like a slightly smaller than average size black bear, bro. Like maybe it's like you caught a break.
If my life depended on it, maybe. I get inspiration for what's that movie Leonardo DiCaprio defeats the grizzly. Maybe I could.
Yeah, the Revenant. Yeah.
Maybe I could get a little Revenant energy going, but I doubt it.
Matt, what about you?
Dude,
could you do it?
We used to get them in my driveway in Massachusetts. That's like the one thing I don't miss about Massachusetts. When I would see those bears, you'd get home from a road trip and you'd pull in the driveway and there'd be a huge bear sitting there in the driveway. I'd just start honking the horn. Kids are waking up. Everyone's upset. So if it was headed towards my kids, do I think I could defeat them? No. Would I maybe be able to run into them with my truck and defeat them? Probably. But I don't know if I could take him down. But if he was headed towards my kids, I'm getting in the way for sure. But I don't know if I could defeat him unless I was in my pickup truck.
I would challenge people to. There's a clip on the internet a bear opening kind of a barricaded locked door, and when I say it looked like me and you guys just pressing a door open. That's how it looked.
That's
So
unbelievable.
that's the strength of a bear. Yeah, like Coach said, we could distract them and maybe you help someone get away, but the feeding
Right.
is I mean they're 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 predators, right? Like that's what they do.
I would put
Unless you're
that.
Tyler Hansbrough with his headset. Unless Tyler Hansbrough with the headset.
That's right.
Tyler can defeat the
I would.
bear with the headset. He's got it.
I
Pre-game Tyler
Matt, I think
Hansbrough might have
even
a chance.
you. I think even you would put your panic meter at a 5 if you were ever one-on-one with a black bear, right? Like that would definitely be a 5, right?
They were in my driveway in Massachusetts. Bears are all over Amherst, Massachusetts. Okay? It's part of the reason why I
Oh
got fired.
man.
I left. I
Yeah.
don't want to see any bears anymore.
Hey,
Back down to
hey, I
Florida
see
where there's
those
no
TikTok
bears.
videos like the bears like breaking in the, you know what I'm saying, the house and opening the refrigerator. Like that is not a funny situation. You know, like if somebody's at home or sleeping or something like that bear is going to ruthlessly, you know, if he comes across you, he's going to ruthlessly just take care of you, and it's going to be
It's,
like
it's
nothing. So
it's just certain things that we like open and close, and when you see like what a bear does to it, like how different the strength is, you're just kind of like, all right, he probably would win that one.
as Mystical once
Yeah.
said, if you ever see me in a fight with a bear, help the bear. But in this case, no, help me out. Okay, last question. John, I'm going to go to you because I don't think Matt's a video game guy. Maybe he'll surprise me. Are you guys excited for GTA 6? That was the trailer just dropped this week.
I am beyond excited because you're gonna get a real glimpse into like Florida man life, right? You got the Gators getting out the pool, you've got women on top of cars, you've got the beaches, you've got all the elements of Florida plus the underground. Um, Dylan Mitchell, I follow him on Instagram, and he was like, "Yeah, when GTA 6 comes out, everyone's gonna want to be from Florida." So, I think it's gonna be a fun glimpse into that Miami life that people kind of want to see. And apparently, it's gonna be a social media network on there, so people will just be able to watch. I mean, it's gonna be absolutely nuts.
Yep. Matt, are you a video game guy, or is that life behind you?
No idea what you're even talking about. No idea what GTA 6 is. Zero clue.
Coach,
But if it has something to do with Florida and Gators, I'm all in.
Yeah, well, it does.
Gainesville might be on it.
Well,
Gainesville might be on it. It might go to a Florida Gators, football game, and
I'm sure it
do
will.
some shady stuff.
I'm an Ocala boy.
I'm
Ocala.
sure it will. We got a lot of time before now and then, though. In the meantime, in between time, thanks to Matt McCall. Thanks to John Henson. Thanks to you for watching on a Thursday night. This has been Last Call as part of the Field of 68 Media Network. We'll be back this weekend. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.